I guess that's a former member of our party, that is Dr. Nyaho Tamakulu. He has just sent a long message to you. We appreciate him. Dog, good morning. Samson, I would give you the background as to where we came from and how we arrived at this particular position at the last National Council meeting on the 17th of June. Samson, you agree that after we lost the elections in 2024, on the 2nd of January, we had a National Council NEC meeting, and we took a decision to put together a National Council committee headed by Professor Mike Aaron Ekwe to look at two issues. One is to look at why we lost the election, and second is to look at possible reforms or constitutional amendment to our constitution that will help to reshape a regrouping of the party towards the elections in 2028 and beyond. Professor Michael Ekwe's committee went to all the 276 constituencies and listened and also received recommendations from other prominent members of the party and other stakeholders. They put together a report. They presented the report to the National Council, and on the 16th of April, the National Council took decision upon listening to Professor Michael Ekwe's committee's summary report and recommendations, put together a committee for amendment of portions that has been raised in Professor Michael Ekwe's committee's report with regards to possible areas of restructuring and amendment, and also referred that committee to the 2021 uncompleted recommendations. So all these were put together, and on the instructions of the General Secretary, Article 19 of our party's constitution was put to bear, where members of the party were called to submit proposals to the committee, and this committee was headed by lawyer Frank Davis. This committee, on the 17th of June, came before National Council, and before their report, before their formation, there was that debate of early Congress to elect a flag bearer, which was captured in Professor Mike Ekwe's report that we should elect our flag bearer early. So this was one of the recommendations which was captured in Professor Michael Ekwe's report, of which during the thank you tour, we made these representations to the members of the party. And all the recommendations that came through Professor Michael Ekwe's report came from the very people that we have been talking to. And that is the members of the party and leaders of the party at the constituency, electoral area, polling stations, regional, and to the national level. So these recommendations were referred back, and these confirmations of recommendations of early Congress was recommended by our members of the party. So it was something that was conclusive and decided by the grassroots of the party, which is not in contention. So this matter was put before the amendment committee, and the amendment committee in their recommendation singled out that the presidential primaries should be conducted early enough that kura, if it is not done by March of 2026, it should be done. So we went into the constitution of the New Patriotic Party, and in Article 13(1), if you permit me, I read, the elections of the party's presidential candidate shall be held not later than 24 months from the date of the national elections. And in this case, the national elections is 2028 elections. The date and venue for the election shall be decided by the National Council. Shall, it is not a may, shall be decided. It means that the National Council is cloned with the power and seized with the authority to decide the date and venue for the conduct of presidential primaries at any point in time, despite the fact that there is a definitive definition of not later than 24 months. So I proceed. Shall decide by the National Council, provided, however, that the National Council may, on appropriate occasions, vary the date. Meaning the National Council can decide that elections of the flag bearer can be conducted 1 year to the election. Can be conducted.
Read the first provision. Read the first provision again.
It says not later than 24 months. But the National Council can vary.
Can vary what?
Can vary the date in appropriate occasions. They can vary the date. So it means they can take a decision. They can do it 3 years. They can do it 2 years. They can do it. So in these particular circumstances, the National Council, based on the recommendations of Frank Davis Committee, took a decision. And Frank Davis Committee said that it must be taken on the very day that report is presented to the National Council.
Do you realize that this was presented to the Constitution Review Subcommittee in your party, correct? The Constitution Reform Party.
We formed, it's an ad hoc committee.
I get it.
Yes, which was formed.
It was presented to them. Why was it presented to them?
Which one?
Why was the proposal for early flag bearership race? Why was it presented to them?
It was part of the discussions on the very day Professor Makwekwe's report was presented.
Good.
And it was drafted into that for them to take consideration. And
because it requires an amendment of your constitution.
No.
So why was it given to a body that is supposed to amend the constitution? Give proposal for amendment of the constitution when the thing you gave to them does not require amendment of the constitution?
Because the committee was asked to also consult and confer. And I can tell you, Brian Achampon appeared before the committee. His opinion was sought. Kennedy Ohini Ajapong appeared before the committee. His opinion was sought. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia appeared before the committee. His opinion was sought. Former President Kufuor was met in his house for a discussion. Former President Akufo-Addo, when they met him, they discussed this particular matter. Other stakeholders, Council of Elders of the party, this was discussed. And like I said, this matter came up on the very day the report of Professor Makwekwe.
Please let me have your copy of your constitution. Don't close it, just keep it to that provision, because
this matter did not need an amendment for it to be done.
Right.
It's just like when you have your court system. For example, parliamentary petitions.
This is Article 13.
Yes.
It's headed Election of the Presidential Candidate.
Yes.
13.1 says the election of the party's presidential candidate shall be held not later than 24 months from the date of the national elections.
Yes.
Not later than 24 months.
Exactly.
So this is within what your constitution provides. 31st of January 2026 is within this.
It's within.
Okay, thank you.
And you don't read in part, read in whole. Because you are the host. I want the people to get that.
It's okay, it's okay.
So read it in whole.
I needed to confirm to myself
whether
it is only the venue and the dates that this council is allowed to vary, and whether or not before they can vary anything, you have to meet the first threshold. But from what you are suggesting, the first threshold is met.
It's met.
Okay.
And then the council can further decide to vary. That is what the constitution says.
Okay.
And like I said, in your court system, there are matters that has to emanate from a high court. There are matters that are supposed to emanate from the Supreme Court. So in the case of a petition for presidential elections, you know where it goes. In the case for parliamentary, you know where it goes. That is what this constitution has clearly satisfied. So we took the decision.
But what the constitution provides means that you have all the time to do the other elections from ground up before you get here, because your candidate must be elected within 2 years after the election.
Samson, the constitution did not say that you have the time to do all the elections. The issue of presidential primary is a standalone election. I've heard people said that you cannot roof a house when the foundation is not being done. And when a foundation is done on a structure. What is the structure of the party? The structure of the party contained in Article 5 of the party's constitution is clear. Structure and organization. We have the polling station, we have the electoral area, we have the constituency, we have the region, external branches, and the national party. This is the structure. The structure does not include presidential primaries. Presidential primaries is a standalone election.
So you agree with those who argue that, like for Ladmocho, who argue that the foundation is actually the presidential primary?
Because
the candidate
standalone elections. And presidential primaries is done on necessity and the powers that may be in terms of contest, in terms of activities that is happening, in terms of the gauging of the environment and what actually you want to achieve. So
don't you feel that can't anything be done about this now that you seem to get some divergent views from other hopefuls? Should I say other hopefuls, or at least one of the hopefuls, a key contender whose people are speaking and saying this arrangement does not favor their candidates, their potential candidates?
Samson, you know, I don't ask questions here, but you are a lawyer. If you are in court representing me, you are saying something in court, and I guess up to say something contrary. It is me. You are talking about me. What I said and what you say in court, which one will the judge take? What I said, because you are representing me.
If I'm representing you,
yes,
the court is supposed to listen to me and your lawyer, because I'm your attorney.
But in this case, you say something, I say, no, this is what I want. In this case, you are saying just one. We should listen to one. I tell you, in council meeting, Brian Achampong was sitting. He's a member of council. In council meeting, Dr. Yao Edichum was sitting in council. Okay? It's only Kennedy Ajapong who is not a member of council. Boacha Ajaku is a member of council, but he waived his attendance on that day. Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Baumia is a member of council. He was sitting. So, in fact, these people have been heard in committee and they have also been heard on the floor. And I can tell you on authority, on that day, when the decision was to be taken, you cannot take a decision without a motion. There was one motion, there was no counter motion. When my boss was asking, with this particular motion, do you have a counter motion? Nobody raised another motion. So there was no counter motion. So that is why we're saying that this was the only motion. We agreed on time. And Samson, other people are mentioning a certain date, saying that 7th December or so, polling station. That is untrue. Because the Constitution provides that before we conduct presidential primaries, the date has to be set pertaining to Article 13(1) by National Council must be situated within a period of 6 months. So choosing a date, the first motion chose a date which was not in conformity with the 6 months.
Okay.
And that was why the motion was further amended and to
I'll get Professor Bokping briefly on this before I hear from Shamima. So Professor Bokping is still here because we are going to deal with financial matters.
Just let me summarize on this point. When we took the decision and we came out with a timetable, I heard people talking about bottom or top or what have you.
Yeah.
This is something that we are not communicating and did not take further decisions on that. All those particular ones, timetables for those elections when they are due will come out.
Okay.
So this is not a matter for us to discuss now.
Prof,
what is consensus?
Professor